Hello, welcome everyone. Come on in, come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another Middletown Area Historical Society opening, Middletowns History Vault. And man, who would have ever thought that in November we would have temperatures in the 70 degrees. It's a beautiful day here in Middletown, Pennsylvania. So come on in. Remember, hit those emojis, make some comments, let us know you're here. Come on in. We'll give people a few seconds here that want to chime in. We have a great history to tell you today here in Middletown, Pennsylvania. First off, I want to backtrack for last week's video on the mill. We had some questions regarding some additional details on the mill. When we do these, we're giving really brief synopsis. We're trying to keep everything within like a 10-minute period. We don't want to drag it out. I could go for quite a long time on some of the history of Middletown, but the videos, we try to keep them within 10 minutes. So sometimes different information is omitted from the video, or I want to say it's live and I want to say some kind of information, and I'm doing these live with some very minimal notes. Most of it's coming from memory, from research and study. But somebody asked about the Fry Mill and how it ended up becoming apartments. So what happened there is if you're familiar with the Fry Mill area, across the street from the mill is the old water plant for Middletown, a water plant facility. And eventually, after the death of Mr. Fry, the building was utilized by the water department. Actually, the apartment was built in the first floor for the superintendent of the water plant, and then eventually it was owned by them and sold off and turned into additional apartments. So that's how the Fry Mill from last week ended up becoming apartments. Mr. Fry had passed away. The water plant from across the street had kind of taken over, created an apartment, and then then it was sold off and became additional apartments. It was offered to the borough back then. The borough didn't have the hindsight to realize that history and to hold on to the building as a municipality. So that was that. Backtracking a little bit on the Fry Mill and answering that question that came in after the video was done. So today we are here at the M&H Railroad. Many people know this as the Middletown and Hummelstown Railroad, or the Milk and Honey Railroad. This railroad was chartered in 1888, and construction actually didn't begin until 1889. That's about March of 1889. And it was chartered because there was no competition for passenger and freights coming out of Middletown up until the point of the M&H Railroad coming into existence. The transportation needs for the area were met by the Union Canal, which the Union Canal was commissioned by William Penn in order to connect the Susquehanna River from Harrisburg to Philadelphia. And also, as well, other transportation means were the Pennsylvania Canal and the Pennsylvania Railroad. Now, the PA Railroad would have a huge monopoly on freight at the time, and there was very little competition to drive down those costs. But in 1857, the Reading Railroad was completed, and their line to Harrisburg, and it basically put the Union Canal out of business. And once that Union Canal went out of business, it was realized by businessmen here in Middletown that something needed to be done, and it was determined Middletown needed an alternative mode of transportation, and they moved on to opening the M&H Railroad. They wanted to move freight to Philadelphia still. So that construction again began in March of 1889, and the Middletown side was actually completed all the way up to Stoverdale. Many of you are familiar with the way up there on Stoverdale, up above Harrisburg, is the massive train yard that's up there, and the M&H Railroad line ran all the way up that direction. In 1890, the bridge over the Swatara Creek had been completed, and the M&H joined up with the Reading Railroad, and these two railroad companies would take on the Pennsylvania Railroad and compete with them together jointly. The Reading Railroad would later purchase the M&H. M&H was an independent railroad for a very, very short period of time. They would end up purchasing, the Reading Railroad purchased M&H in August of 1890, and they served the line with passengers until 1939 and freight until 1972. In 1972, most of you know the story of Hurricane Agnes came through and ended up destroying the bridge over the Swatara Creek between Middletown and Hummelstown. And what ended up happening is the Reading Railroad made a deal with the Pennsylvania Railroad to help service Middletown, and Reading would then service the Lebanon area. That temporarily solved the problem, and while the bridge was out, and freight could continue to still flow through Middletown. Eventually, the Reading Railroad went under, and the rail line was purchased by Mr. Wendell Dillinger, and he bought the railroad in 1976, and he continued to use it solely from 1976 to 1986 as freight. In 1986, the decision was made to add a passenger scenic line. An 11-mile round-trip line runs down through, and passengers can still pick that line up today. The carts that they ride are from 1960 to 1920, and they ran out of New Jersey until 1984. Today, the railroad is still operating. They still haul freight around, and passengers can still come here today and ride the train. Now, due to COVID, this year's schedule has been canceled, so I recommend that you visit their website, mhrailroad.com, and follow along with them. They are on Facebook as well, and you can pick up their schedule and join them and pick up one of their scenic rides. If you haven't visited Middletown and taken their ride, it's a great ride. And if you're from Middletown, come on back and visit us again, and make sure you take a ride on the Milk and Honey M&H Railroad. So today, that ends the segment for today. I'm just going to spin the camera around. We're going to take a look at this train line, and you guys can see what's running. And I also have a special announcement as I show you this line. So let's flip it over. Okay, it's not flipping. Okay, get back up here, and you can see the main line here. There's the main engine, and it goes down through. And these are the passenger cars. Again, they ran out of New Jersey for a while, brought here to Middletown, and they make up the Milk and Honey passenger cars on the scenic ride, 11-mile square mile round trip, excuse me. So I said I was going to have a special announcement today, and that special announcement to everybody that watches the video is that the museum is finally going to be back open. The decision has been made that the museum will open up on November 14th. That's this coming Saturday, with a special exhibit presented by the Middletown Fire Department past, present members. There's going to be a fantastic exhibit on display at the museum representing the almost 200 years of Middletown Volunteer Fire Department. We're certainly hoping you could come out. The display will be open on Saturday, November 14th. The museum will continue to be open then on Wednesday mornings as usual schedule, and also by appointment, anybody that wants to stop in. So that's big news that the museum is going to reopen now, and everybody can actually stop in and visit and see the great history of Middletown, Pennsylvania that's on display, and the many artifacts that we have in that museum. Check out the website, MiddletownAreaHistoricalSociety.org. And remember, you can watch these videos under the Middletown History page. You can also visit us on the YouTube channel, Middletown Area Historical Society of Dauphin County. We would love to see you on there as a subscriber. Remember, guys, please share these videos. Share, spread the word. We're seeing up to some 4,000 people reached with these videos, and that's just great news. Just fantastic. Share the videos. Guys, make sure you leave an emoji. Let us know you're here. Leave a comment. We love comments. Give us some suggestions on anything you may want to hear about in Middletown. Guys, we hope you have a wonderful day. It's a beautiful Sunday. Enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. Take care.